Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the pre-release event G3 Toys and Collectibles for Paradox Rift. As you can see, I'm in the right shirt this time, and I'm just looking forward to opening up more of the new set. So if you haven't seen part 1, make sure to click that link down below, and I shall see you there also. But without further ado, let's get straight to G3. It is now time to head to G3 Toys and Collectibles for the second pre-release event, this time with much more people. Unfortunately, I had to edit out a couple of faces because they wanted their privacy, so I did not show their faces. At least we managed to see some familiar faces. How do you feel about your return?
Oh, feel good, feel ready to win, ready to play.
Hopefully you're not going to ban anyone this time, are you?
It depends if I lose. I only ban people if they lose. So if you beat me,
I'm almost guaranteed to go then.
Yeah.
So long.
You can have some breaks because I'm going to beat you. But if I play against you and you beat me, you're banned. Banned for life.
Fair enough. So it looks like this is going to be a busy one. Shortly we're going to get into the boxes soon, so let's get straight into that. We were then given our boxes, and now it's time for the wait for the go-ahead.
Come on, silence now so I can get everyone started, because I'm sure everyone is very eager to get into their boxes and open some packs. So I'm just going to go over the basic rules of the event, and then as soon as I'm done I can get you started. So we're playing a best of 1 3-round tournament where you'll be playing with your Build and Battle box, which will be a 40 card deck with the promo and 4 packs. You can add any of those cards you get from those 4 packs into the 40 card deck, but the deck still has to be 40 cards by the end of it. You'll be playing for 4 prizes instead of 6, so make sure you don't put 6 down, because otherwise you'll have less cards to play with later. What will happen is you'll get half an hour to open all your stuff and build your decks. You've got plenty of time. If you need dice or stuff in the games, I have plenty. If you require other energies as well, I have plenty of energy. So if you want to start playing something like fire Pokemon, but you don't have fire energies, come and talk to me. I will hand you as many fire energies as you need, etc. with all the other types. What else is there to say?
No trading. No trading.
Yeah, no trading until afterwards. So once all 3 rounds are done, you can then trade with each other as much as possible. Also, afterwards, you'll be given 3 packs of Paradox Rifts. Yeah, 3 extra booster packs of Paradox Rifts at the end. So you'll end up walking away having opened 7 packs, which is always amazing. So, if there are any questions?
The rule of 4 doesn't account. The rule of 4 doesn't apply as well.
Never had to explain that though, weirdly
So
enough.
is it just so it's not 3 rounds? It's whoever wins the first round.
Yeah, so best of 1. Best of
Whoever
1,
wins.
3
So you
rounds.
have to actually try
So it's
on
not-
the first game.
Yeah.
Oh no! What?
Yes.
You can't just
I can't just win on the second game and let it go to a draw.
No.
Oh, I have to
You have
try.
to actually try.
The look
Yeah,
on your
you're going to get half
face.
an hour.
Oh,
Any other questions?
the Greg's
come see me.
jacket's
Need
coming
any help,
off,
come
people.
see me. Your time starts now.
The Greg's jacket is coming off.
No, it was just in the hand. Oh!
Oh, that's good.
I've got to check.
Let's go!
You better hope that something good never.
There we go.
Iron Moth and Iron Bundle. Oh! I didn't get any like full arts or any EXs in this deck. Right.
And I've got...
First pack.
Hey!
What'd you get?
Iron Bundle.
Hey! I can't open this one.
Hey!
Slightly terrifying.
This one's calling out to me now.
Yes.
This one's calling to me. What's that's my only hit of this entire set. This entire thing. I think you're getting psychic and water.
So if you need anything else,
No, it's psychic. It's psychic and water.
Right.
no, because
What do you think?
means you don't need an energy. Means they can attack for
This
nothing.
kind of attack still has no retreat cost, and the attacks it uses does 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon.
Oh!
boxes.
Oh, nice.
Iron bundle.
Opening's always insane. You always pull
I'm
something
sorry,
amazing.
what'd you get?
What?
Hey, mummy! Hey, mummy!
I so want Cave Mummy.
Cave mummy.
They got 151 in
Great.
That is just so lucky. Yeah.
Not in the packs or in the deck.
in the deck.
Yeah, in the deck. Yeah.
I don't know that. I thought it was
Yeah, in
going to
the
be all.
deck. Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to basically keep everything.
Curse. Gibble. Loser. Right.
Cool.
We're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Ooh, shrimp out.
Oh, I got the slither wing.
And I got the iron moth.
Oh!
Go on.
9. So it happens.
You're not.
Oh, that's really cool. Nice full arm.
It's one of the ones in case that makes energy.
Dark energy. Gibble. Blitzel. Hamful. Sound sleep. Oh, calm down. Medical energy. Right. What do you medical energy even
Oh,
do?
okay.
When you attach this Pokemon, this card to your hand, it's 30 damage when it's attached.
No, therapeutic is getting you out of blah, 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 blah. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I didn't even know if I want to kill this deck. I haven't even had a proper look through my deck yet.
Nice. Yeah, after.
Okay.
I didn't even know how I
I have
want
to
to do this.
Oh, that's so cool. That's amazing. Amazing. Well done.
I honestly don't know how I want to build
Chi-Yu.
this deck.
Which one is Chi-Yu? What's it with?
At least I managed to score these nice cards.
I would recommend sleeving them, yes. Because you don't want to ruin all your new cards.
I've got a bunch of bio.
I would play that. Because
Right.
that's keep water energy from your discard card to one of your Pokemon. It doesn't have to be the Gem power, it can be one of the. It could be. So you can use that to essentially power
Yeah, like
this.
have that in the active and have that there.
And that on the bench, and you can use that to power that up.
Yeah.
This is actually not terrible as well.
Do you want
Yes, yeah,
Very
I did see
pretty.
what you called, yeah. That's really good.
get over here? Get.
Yeah, I've got one in my deck. Iron Bundle in my deck already.
And that might help. at some point.
the cheese screen.
What's that?
No energy.
Oh, so you-
You don't need an energy. I don't know why they don't just give you
Really well.
That's so cute. Mine. I want to take that.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on just a second here.
And then
That's
these
very
are also in my
cute.
deck
That's
as
such a
well.
cute little.
And it is now time to make up our new deck. Let's see what we could cook up. And here are the results. Not many changes have been implemented into this deck, with the energy, supporters, items and Pokemon remain the same, but there are a couple takeouts, with a couple additions being Dondozo and Frostlass EX with Snowrunt. And now it's time to see what this deck is capable of. Let's get into match 1. It's time for the first round. My first opponent, Joe, who I faced against at the first pre-release of Paradox Rift, is my first opponent, and he's playing a Water/Psyche deck. After I did the high roll, I decided to go first. I then decided to attach a psychic energy to my flittle. I then decided to pass after that. During my opponent's first turn, he decided to put a bench Pokemon down. I then played Nimona, who you can draw 3 cards from. He then decided to put down another Psychic type Pokemon on the bench to fill up his space. I then shortly after attached an energy. During my next turn, I put down a Natu onto my bench. I then shortly after evolved my Flittle into a Sparfer, attached to Psychic energy. I then decided to play Roark, where you could draw 2 cards, but also an additional side effect where you can add a basic energy from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon, but as I didn't have any bench Pokemon, I only just draw 2 cards. And then I decided to attack and knock out his active Pokemon with 70 damage. During my opponent's next turn, he played Tulip to get a Psychic type Pokemon back into his hand. I then put down Iron Bundle onto his bench and used his ability to switch out my active Pokemon. I decided to add a Psychic energy to my Natu, but I'm not really given any much choice because I haven't got much in my hand at the moment, which is all full of energies. So I decided to use Natu's attack to do Triple Strike, which after 3 coin flips, even though I use a dice, does 10 damage for each heads. I only managed to get 2 heads out from the coin flip and only did 20 damage. Now before we come on with this match, I made a slight mistake of picking up my bench Pokemon, which is unusual of me because I should have left it on my bench and I wondered why I had so much in my hand. So that was a silly mistake on my behalf. Whoops. During my opponent's next turn, he attached an energy to his Whimsipod and used his attack called Hide. If heads, it prevents any damage done to it. If tails, it does nothing. So after my silly mistake, I put my Sparfer back on the bench and then only left with only little options. I decided to attach a water type energy to my Natu. I then decided to do Triple Strike. After 2 successful heads, I managed to do another 20 damage to his Whimsipod. During my opponent's next turn, he played a card called Chantel. If heads, he gets to switch my bench Pokemon with the active. If tails, he'll do the same on his side. He successfully landed heads. He then attached a water type energy to the Whimsipod, and then used Salto's ability to attach a Psychic type energy to his bench Pokemon and then drawing 2 cards. He then shortly after switched its Whimsipod and brought up Little, and then evolved it into a Sparfer. He then decided to use the Sparfer's attack, doing 140 damage, the extra 70 from the Tulip he used earlier. I'm only left with limited options and decided to use my attack, Triple Strike. Unfortunately, as the Sparfer evolved during its next turn, I deal no damage to it, so at the end of the turn, I lost, which resulted in Joe winning. Well done. Now on to match 2. It's now time for match 2. My next opponent would be Harrison, and he's playing a Fire/Psychic deck. After successfully landing heads, I decided to go first. During my first turn, I decided to put a Water type energy onto my Whimsipod. I then shortly after put another Whimsipod on my bench. I decided to then afterwards put an Iron Bundle and then put down Mesagoza to help me search for Pokemon. I decided to use Mesagoza. So if you landed heads, you get to search for a Pokemon. If tails, you search for nothing. I unfortunately landed tails and didn't search for a Pokemon. During my opponent's next turn, he put a Psychic type Pokemon onto the bench. I then decided to use Mesagoza as well, unfortunately landing tails. My opponent decided to attach a energy to its Psychic type Pokemon, and then afterwards decided to pass. During my next turn, I decided to use Mesagoza to hope for Pokemon, unfortunately landing tails yet again. I decided to play Nemona to draw 3 cards from my deck, hoping that I could search for more Pokemon. Which thankfully I did. So I decided to put down a Flittle, and then a Snorunt. I then evolved my Whimsipod to Golisopod. I then attached an energy to my Flittle. I then used Golisopod's powerful cross attack for 20 damage for each card in my opponent's hand, leading to a knockout. My opponent during his next turn played Ultra Ball to discard 2 cards and looking for a Pokemon he wanted. He managed to find his Xatu, so he can hopefully draw some more cards from his deck with his ability. My opponent decided to use Mesagoza as he hasn't used it yet, and unfortunately landed tails. It was then my go. And then I decided to put a Natu onto my bench. And then attached a Water type energy to my Snorunt. I then shortly after evolved my Flittle into Sparfer. And then shortly after that used Youngster to help shuffle my hand into my deck. And then draw 5 cards. I then decided to play Mr. Ghost to help look for the Pokemon I wanted, and unfortunately landed a Tails. I then used Powerful Cross again to knock out my opponent's Pokemon and securing another prize. My opponent is now in trouble with only one Pokemon left. Hoping to use Mr. Gozo, he decided to use it and unfortunately landed in Tails. During my next turn, I used Mr. Gozo again to hopefully look for the Pokemon I wanted, and thankfully, landing the heads, searching for the Pokemon I wanted the most, came Satu to my rescue. I then played a card called Larry to search for 2 Pokemon if heads, if tails looked for basic. And I managed to look for 1 Pokemon, a Frostlass EX, and then another Golisopod. I then shortly evolved them. And then I used Satu's ability to attach a Psychic type energy to one bench Pokemon, and then draw 2 cards. I attached a Water type energy to my Frostlass EX, getting it ready for later on, in case of preparation. My opponent then attached a Psychic type energy to his Sparfer, which I didn't mention before. Before using attack, he used Mr. Gozo to look for Pokemon, and unfortunately landed in Tails. I decided to use his attack to deal damage to my Golisopod. Now you may be wondering what's going on right now. What did I do this time? So apparently, dealt with the damage I'd taken, my Pokemon should have been knocked out. So another mistake by my hand. So I then decided to explain this to Harrison. So taking the knockout, I then bringing up another bench Pokemon, and then skipping my turn to make up for the mistake. Now my opponent also made a mistake as well now, which he attached an energy which he thought he can use from Satu, but as Natu wasn't evolved into Satu, he then evolved it into Satu and then used his ability to attach an energy and draw the 2 cards he wanted. So I made sure to correct him on that. So shortly after the mistakes that we both made, Harrison used Sparfer's attack to knock out my Golisopod, and then it's now time to bring up my Frostlass EX. Time to bring up the big guns. I then used Satu's ability to attach a Psychic type to himself, and then drawing another 2 cards. I decided to put down a Dondozo in preparation just in case. I then attached a Water type energy to it. I then used Frostlass attack Frost Bullet to deal 140 damage to the active Pokemon, and then dealing another 20 damage to the bench Pokemon. My opponent is in big trouble now with only very limited options. He then attached a Psychic type energy to his Satu, and then hoping to look for a Pokemon with Mr. Gozo, unfortunately failed. I then decided to use Frost Bullet for the final attack, securing the win. Well done Harrison, you played well. Now on to match 3. It's now time for the final round, and my last opponent will be Lewis, who's playing a Fire/Steel deck with a couple of other additions. We decided to do a heads and tails, with my opponent securing the start with heads and opted to go second, so I'll be going first during my first turn. During my first turn, I attached a Water type energy to my Whimsipod, and then passing it over to my opponent. During my opponent's next turn, he attached the fire energy to its Yveltal. I then used Magby's attack. With Magby's attack, Scorching Heater, during its next turn, if it gets damaged, it gets to put 6 damage counters on to my attacking Pokemon. During my next turn, I used Larry to help look for Pokemon, unfortunately landing Tails with only looking for Flittle for basic. Attached energy to that, I then used Whimsypod's attack to hopefully defend myself, with successfully landing the heads. My opponent used Ultra Ball to discard 2 cards and look for a Pokemon. He managed to find a Honedge. At the end of his turn, he used Scorching Heater again to hopefully have some damage land on my Pokemon. During my next go, I attached the Psychic Energy to my Flittle, and then evolving it into a Spartha, and then shortly using Youngster to help shuffle my hand into my deck and hopefully look for cards I need. I managed to find a Dondozo and put it onto my bench, and then using Whimsypod's attack again to help defend myself during the next turn. Unfortunately landed Tails, so I didn't get to defend. During my opponent's next turn, he could do much, so he decided to pass his turn. I then attached the Water type energy to my Dondozo, slowly building it up. I used Whimsypod's attack again and unfortunately landed Tails, which leaves me defenseless. During my opponent's next turn, he then put Defiance Band onto his Yveltal, and then shortly afterwards used Parasol Lady to shuffle his hand and draw 4 cards from his deck. He then attached the Dark Energy to his Yveltal, slowly building that up in case. And then he retreated his Magby to bring Yveltal up and use its attack to deal damage to my Whimsypod. During my next turn, I attached an energy to my Dondozo, and then using Whimsypod's attack to help defend myself yet again. Unfortunately defenseless yet again, he used his attack to deal more damage, without leaving 10 HP left on my Whimsypod. I then attached another energy to Dondozo and used Roark to help draw more cards. I used Whimsypod's attack to help defend and thankfully landing the heads, which is luck in my favour. During my opponent's next turn, only he can attach an energy and do nothing else, as he can't deal damage. During my next turn, I attached the energy to my Dondozo, and then using Hide, which unfortunately leaves me defenseless. Lewis didn't have much going on, so he decided to pass. During my next go, I put down a Flittle to prepare my bench and then attach an energy to it. Using Hide once more, and then landing the heads, securing another defend. During my opponent's next turn, he then put down Honedge and attached the Steel energy to it, and then shortly passed. During my next turn, I attached another Water energy to my Whimsypod, and then put down Iron Bundle to switch out my opponent's active Pokemon. He then brought up his Magby, and then I decided to use my attack, Gnaw, to deal 40 damage to it and secure a prize. He then brought back up Yveltal, preparing to attack. He then attached an energy to his Honedge, and then doing another attack using Yveltal to knock out my Whimsipod. During my next go, I brought out the big guns and used Dondozo. I used the final energy I needed and dealt 180 to his Yveltal, knocking it out, securing another prize. During my opponent's next turn, he then put down another Honage onto the bench. I then used Rare Candy to evolve his Honage in the active straight to Aegislash. I then using this tag to deal 120 damage to my Dondozo. I decided to put a Wimpod, which for some other reason I've been calling it Whimsipod during the entire time, attach an energy to it, and then use Dondozo's attack to knock out the Aegislash. During my opponent's next turn, he attached an energy and decided to end his turn. I then put down a Snow Runt and then evolving my Wimpod to Glissipod, using Dondozo's attack, securing the win. Well done, Lewis. Now it's time to see the results. After finishing my matches, I decided to record whatever matches were still going on. I managed to finish 6th for the event, which is good enough for me. Time to get into those extra packs.
Alright, see you next week.
Let's see what I get.
So what you get? Yeah, we got the Iron Hands last week. Which was pretty. Everyone was pulling the Iron Hands last week. Iron Hands is going to apparently be the new thing. That one. I mean, all the YouTube videos I see is just amp you very much. Yes.
Yeah.
I am looking to
But you use.
in my deck.
If you knock out the opponent's Pokemon, you get an
You
extra
happy with
prize card.
everything? Good.
But there's a lot of
and then for 3 energy it does 160 just to warm them up.
I will do
if there's a lot of EXs and Vs that are times 2 weak to electric, so you can in theory be taking 3 prize cards for 1.
Hey, Mewtwo!
There it is.
It's also, there's a lot about single prize
Yeah.
to slow you down.
Yeah.
So if you can get 2 prizes, you're laughing. Is that math perspective? Well, it's not going to be a big
the only one he won't be able to do is that one if he decides to come.
You keep them and then you can kind of always look back at
The League Night one.
deck building.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say you fool.
That one, because it's extra official, you won't be able to use anything
did you
from
bring your
the set
binder?
until
I did. I bought
officially.
both.
I think is it the 23rd?
I thought it was the
Mewtwo, yes.
17th because
Could I
it's
trick?
2 weeks.
It's so 17th, but like
Ah,
most
Tinkerton.
more than half.
And a Volcanion.
But
Last pack magic.
yeah, once a month. Once a month.
Yeah, and also
But like I said, I think for that one we're going to do Paradox Break.
Yeah,
We
you
won't
can
have
bring
another
them back.
set
Looks like you
released
did.
for until next year.
thank you.
So you won't need to worry about it. But yeah, just be the 12th of November. All the cards your bag.
Yes.
Then after that, you can go back to YouTube it as normal. So yeah, it just be for the official one.
You try and complete the
Because
set.
it'll be like a full
Have them all out so I know what I've got and what I haven't.
I need glaring galleries.
What do you want?
Glaring galleries.
Yeah,
I'm not sure which one's going to see yet.
That's just random stuff, and then that's all. This is the new.
Random stuff.
At least I'm happy with this Mewtwo EX. Now the others have managed to pull some other great cards today. Now it's time to head home. And that is it for the video. Now before we go, just want to say a massive thank you to G3 Toys and Collectibles for hosting 2 pre-release events, one being last weekend and one being this weekend gone. Even though the time of this recording, it's Monday, so it's just the day after, so that's alright. One thing you probably did notice, I didn't have that many clips this time, which I apologise about, probably because I wanted to record the part where everyone's getting the packs unfortunately. I was just coming back from getting some lunch. But I managed to get the leaderboard, so that was fine. And I managed to get a nice couple of pretty cards in there, which I didn't do part 1, but I made up for part 2. And yeah, that is it. Yeah, so big thank you to G3 for the week, for both weekends. Absolutely amazing. I certainly enjoyed it. I certainly will do it again. We'll be doing it again. And yeah, so before we go, make sure to hit that like button down here if you liked the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel down here. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications button if you haven't already to be notified of future uploads. And then comment down below, just down here, if you have a favourite moment that you enjoyed, and suggest further improvements to the channel. And that is it. So without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!